Hello. I'm excited that Harper Kids and Crayola are collaborating on the Read Along, Draw Along series that helps children enjoy great stories and the illustrations that bring them alive. So get cozy, grab some drawing materials, and get ready for an interactive story session. I'm thrilled to introduce today's author and illustrator, Henry Cole.
Hey, everybody. It's actually me, Henry Cole. Thanks for having me, Sherry.
Children are natural illustrators, and I'm sure we have a lot of young artists and storytellers with us today. Henry, how did you become an author and an illustrator? And what advice do you have for children and their families, their teachers, to inspire kids to keep drawing and writing stories?
Great question. I have always loved drawing. From a very early age, I've been drawing pictures. In fact, I love show and tell. I have a couple of pictures very early on. I love this one. This is a picture I did probably in, I don't know, second grade or so. This is my house. Home has always been very important to me. I drew my house over and over and over again all the time. And you can see that even when I was this young, I would include some nature, some birds and trees and things. There's a flock of crows going over. I love this picture. Take a look at this one. Wildlife, always very important in my life. I grew up on a farm in Virginia, and there were so many wonderful animals, plants, and insects that lived on the farm, and I would draw the insects lived on the farm. I like this one too. Praying mantis, butterflies and bees, beetles, ants. Now this was very important. This is my mom. My mom was an illustrator, so she kind of instilled some interest in drawing and painting to me when I was a little kid. I love this picture I did of her. And then finally, I wanted to show you this one. I had a wonderful third grade teacher. Her name was Miss Patterson, and she knew I liked to draw. So when the time came during the day for us to draw, she'd give me a big piece of paper, and of course my box of Crayola crayons. And this day she said, "Hey everybody, draw a picture of what you'd like to be when you're grown up, what you'd like to be doing as an adult." Well, I wanted to be an artist when I grew up. So I drew myself sitting at an easel with a paint palette and a beret. Of course, I'm wearing a tie. That's obviously went by the wayside. So I've been drawing ever since I was a little teeny and enjoying it a lot.
That is remarkable that you have saved those treasures and that tells the story of how you've been an artist for your entire life. Great inspiration for kids. It really reminds them, keep drawing.
You know what else? My mom saved everything. She had a box up in the attic. And that's an important lesson to remember. I think if you're proud of something that you've drawn or something that you've written, a story that you've made, save it. Don't don't throw it away. Put it in a drawer or a box or safe place somewhere so you can see it years later. Is lots and lots of fun.
That is a great tip for the families, the teachers, and the parents, that to really treasure what children create today and will look upon it many times with fond memories. So, Henry, your book carries so many messages that kids can keep coming back to it over and over again and learn more from this story. I love the way in Nesting you provide science concepts, teaches about growth and habitat and animals and the earth as we follow the robin family. And you talk about feelings. How did you weave together those life lessons using art and writing and science as those threads throughout the story?
When I went to college, I studied forestry. I was outside a lot as a kid, and I was outside a lot when I was in college studying. And I think being really tuned in to birds, trees, animals, being outside a lot was very influential on me. And I really liked putting those feelings that I get when I'm outside to try to put those on paper. There's something about knowing the intimate wonderfulness of a tree, of whoever lives in the tree, of a woods, of a creek, of a pond. Those are just really wonderful things to illustrate and to tell the story about them on paper.
What a nice entrance to the story. It'd be great now, Henry, if you could read the book, Nesting.
Nesting by Henry Cole. You know, I did all the pictures in this book in black and white with just pen on paper, except for the little touches of color that I added. Robin's egg blue, I thought would be a nice addition to this story. Let me start. Oh, end papers, robin egg blue. It's an early spring morning. The ground is covered with frost. From the branch of an apple tree, a robin starts to sing. His song tells other male robins, "Stay away." But a female hears his song too. "Here I am," he sings. The two robins explore. One spot looks perfect. Together they gather dry grass and small twigs. Look, they're starting a nest. They began to build. The nest is finished. It's perfect. It's just the right size and shape. The mother robin settles into it and sits quietly. Oh, there's our pop of blue. She lays an egg, smooth and blue. She lays 3 more. 4 is perfect. She keeps the eggs warm. She's patient. Inside each egg, a baby bird is growing. The eggs begin to hatch one by one. The babies have no feathers. They're blind and defenseless. They're born very hungry. A juicy caterpillar is a perfect meal for baby robins. So is a soft worm. Yummy. One afternoon, a storm comes. The wind blows and rain pours. The babies are kept safe. The storm passes. Day after day, the babies need more food. The parents make many, many trips. Did I say many? We're talking hundreds of trips to feed these baby robins. Uh-oh. Down below, a snake sees the robin's nest. The snake is hungry too and climbs the apple tree. Danger! The robins fight back. They dive and swoop. They don't give up until they drive the snake away. Look, the snake drops out of the tree. He's like, I'm going to get out of here fast. The young robins have grown bigger and bigger. They fill up the nest. I think it's time to go. They have feathers now, just right for flying. One by one, they leave the nest. They flap and drop to the ground below. But soon they grow strong and can feed themselves. Their wings take them anywhere they want to go. It's late summer now and the days are shorter. The robins eat berries and grow fat. Now they can survive a cold winter. They gather together to spend winter months. The old nest is covered with snow. A new nest will take its place when spring comes again. Now, some birds build new nests and some birds use the nest from last year. Robins always build a fresh new nest every year. And that's my story, a year in the life of a robin family.
I love the way you brought in the stories of growth, the magic of nature, your appreciation for the nest, and taught us so much about how a young robin is vulnerable and grows stronger. Beautiful. Your story has inspired many people to go outside and observe. What advice do you have for the viewers so when they go outside, they can spot some birds' nests, pay attention to the bark, really know where to look and what to look for?
I'd say most of the time when I go outside, 90% of what I'm observing is through my hearing, through ears. I'm like listening for things as well as watching things. And here's a really, really good tip. I know you're going to think this is silly, but it's not at all. Look what I carry around with me. A little notebook. I'll draw things and I can use those drawings later. A notebook like this is really, really wonderful. How about this one? Authors have to come up with names of characters too. And lots of names have been used already. So sometimes I'll hear a name that I like and I'll write the name down. So it's really, really smart to keep a notebook and something to write with handy so that you can take notes, make sketches, research a little bit. And here's one last thought. But I spend so much time drawing. I'll have music playing or I'll have a movie in the background. Look what I did. I got a couple of pieces of cardboard and I taped them together. So I have my little portable drawing table. I can take this wherever I am sitting and I can draw. Also a good idea.
Those are great tips. So kids can be taking either a sketchbook, or they could take pieces of paper that they fold tiny enough to fit in a pocket.
Exactly.
Take a few Crayola crayons, colored pencils, have it with you handy all the time because you never know when a great name or an interesting image is going to be something you want to remember.
When I was a kid, we had some chickens on the farm, and I was fascinated with these chickens because they had great faces. They had a lot of personality in their faces. So I would get my little pad and I'd follow them around. They were not in a hen house. They were wild. They would like run around. And I would follow these chickens around and I would draw pictures of them and sketch them. Of course, they were like, okay, who's this following us around? But I would draw these little sketches of chickens, and it was a great lesson in drawing something from wild, something that's moving and living. If you've got a cat or a dog or a baby brother, whatever it is at home that you can follow around and draw a picture of it, drawing from life, what good exercise, what good practice.
And I love the way you focus on the details, right? So you don't have to draw the whole chicken. You can draw the chicken's face and really try to get that feeling. I recall when you talked about being outside, you really asked kids, how does it feel to be outside? Smell that fresh air, listen to the sounds. Those are all details that inform your drawing. Great tips for young artists. And it really relates to an art style. Henry, I love the way your illustrations in the book Nesting demonstrate the power of lines to communicate so much. Describe to the young artists that are with us today how you use lines and shapes and patterns to set that visual stage and to convey your big ideas.
I'm going to draw something for you. I'm going to choose, these are fantastic. Easy peel crayon pencils. Okay, I've chosen some colors that are sort of earthy, treesy colors. I'm going to draw a tree. And these are wonderful because they have a nice sharp line. So I always start from the ground and work my way up when I'm drawing a tree. I'm going to cover approximately that much territory, but I'm going to start on here with the ground and the roots. This tree has lots of character in it. So I'm going to draw that using this wonderful black pencil. Let's see here. Now, down here, think about fingers gripping into the ground. I want some roots showing here. Gripping in like fingers. And then this branch goes up like that. I'm not going to draw the whole tree. I'm just going to draw the interesting trunk of it. It looks something like that. Most pictures, especially pictures of wildlife, they have some sort of light that's coming in. So in this picture, I'm going to pretend that the light's coming from the east. It's morning, so there's light coming in this way, right? Well, if there's light this way, guess what's on the other side? Shadow. So I'm going to put some shadows on this side. And because trees are round, I'm going to make roundy shapes with it. Shadow here. Uh-oh, look, shadows up here. Shadows on this side, because remember, light's coming in this way. And like I said before, I got some earthy tones. I'm going to try this. Look. Put a little color into it. I like this one too. So I'm using lines to make shadows. See how the lines are making shadows? Cross-hatching each other, doubling up on each side. Now, this is a part that I like the best when I'm drawing a tree. The branches themselves create shadows on the rest of the tree. So if sun's coming through here, this branch is casting a shadow. So I'm going to put a shadow here where the tree is casting. Oh, and the leaves all up here in the canopy of the tree, they're creating a shadow too. I'm going to put shadow up there. And then I'm going to get my greens and add some green leaves in the back on the other side of the branches, and in the front on this side, on these side of the branches here. And now I'm going to choose something else. I've got so much space to fill in. I found it. Okay, I don't know who thought of these. A genius. They're pencils, but they act as watercolors too. Watch. I'll draw with the pencil. I'm going to put some grass in to kind of secure the tree to the ground, right? I'm going to put a couple of different greens. But since these are watercolor pencils, watch this magic. A little bit of water, a little bit of brush. I could do that to the whole tree if I wanted to. How great is that? And then one last thing I'm going to do here. These are pretty fabulous. These are called paintbrush pens. I'm going to choose the green one. I'm going to give you a little tip on drawing trees and showing depth. I've never shown this to anybody. This is like a little secret. See how the grass is on the other side of the tree? Well, if I put blades of grass coming up on that side of the root, it shows distance. Well, what would happen if I put grass on this side too? It shows depth. I'm going to put some grass here and some grass behind the tree.
There's lots of great tips.
I could create a whole picture using these. Oh my gosh. One last thing I'm going to do on this picture. These are color sticks. Pretty terrific. I put these color sticks in kind of a earth tone pattern, earth tone combination. I'm going to take them and, you can use the tippity tip of a crayon, but you can also use the sidedy side if you want to cover more territory.
Great big wide brush strokes.
Yeah.
And I'd like to remind our viewers that as you're watching Henry create illustrations, it's also your time to draw. Be sure to pick up some colored pencils or markers and paper. Look at Henry's inspiration and think about what you'd like to be creating. Think about the seasons and what about springtime brings you joy. Use some of the tips that you've learned from Henry about lines and shapes and patterns and that splash of color to make your art speak as loudly as your words. After this session, you'll have plenty of time to finish your sketch and share it in the comment section of this video. And while Henry and the kids of all ages are busy drawing, I want to mention to parents and teachers that you can sign up to receive free monthly resources that make learning colorful and fun delivered right to your email box. Artists finish their work, you can discuss it. What did they see outside? What do we know about those nature items, those trees, those birds, and what else do we want to know? And how do we put it into our artwork? So Henry, when we look at the many books that you've illustrated, you have so many different styles and each is as fascinating as the other. Share with us how different materials come across in a different style and how you use art materials in different ways.
A book like Nesting, or this book I'm working on now about beavers building a dam, it looks very different than this book that Harper has coming out next summer. The art is very different. This book is more cartoony, but I get it all the time. How do you make these different characters up? Well, I'm using this an oil pastel today because I love the rich, really dark tones. An artist is trying to show expression in the character's face. I can draw a realistic robin. Of course, you need to study robins and other birds. I'm going to make this as sort of realistic. And I can do that pretty quickly. My next step, though, well, what if this isn't a realistic book, realistic story? Well, let me give you a little hint. You can change anything around the eye. Pretend that the bird has eyebrows for a second. You can change those, and you can change the corner of the mouth, the way that the direction that the beak is going, to really change the character. Let me show you what I mean. What if I wanted to make a happy bird? Well, here's the bird, just like I did before. But this time, instead of straight across, this time I want to change the expression. I want to make it go up in a smile. And that changes everything already, right? Okay, well, if I do that, then I can make the eye more fun. And there's the eyebrow. Look at the eyebrow. That's really important in people and in cartoon birds. Well, what if I wanted to make an angry bird? Angry bird. Instead of smiley up, it's smiley down. And instead of eyebrow a certain way, this way, it's an eyebrow this way. Angry bird. Okay. And I can do terrified bird. Ah. It's all about how you position that mouth line and the eyebrow.
The power of a line, it can go from furious to curious with just a stroke.
Exactly. I love the way you said that. That's exactly what I'm trying to do. Yes.
So the pictures that you've drawn today, the tree and the birds, they really remind me about Earth Day. Earth Day is a special time every year where we celebrate this planet and the ways to enjoy and protect Earth. Wow. I love what you're creating, Henry. It's a close-up, spotlight, zoomed in. Is it a ladybug?
My favorite.
It's gorgeous. Just another perfect example of getting close and noticing the detail of the tiniest creature that we encounter, right? These little bugs.
Yeah. And keep in mind, every time you're outside, there are millions and millions of little creatures right beneath your feet that need your guidance and protecting as you go through life. Oh, I love ladybugs. We have one more thing. Let's see if we
Giving some background, a reminder of the environment that surrounds our little ladybug friend.
Exactly. And where's my brush?
Such a great technique, adding the water to the watercolor pencils.
Right? Love this. I'm going to add one more thing. You know, I like to think that ladybugs are thinking things too.
Oh, it's a thought bubble, of course. And the ladybug is going to remind us that every day is Earth Day. Yes, totally agree, Ladybug. We want to thank Henry Cole for inspiring us today. Beautiful art, fantastic story. And we want to thank our friends at Harper Kids for publishing his great books. And we want to thank all of you for joining us.
Thank you, Crayola. Thank you, HarperCollins. Everybody have a very happy Earth Day.
Enjoy spring.